Okay, I think we're live, Leslie.
We sure are.
Welcome to the big life. Welcome to the big life.
Thank you.
I know I've been having a little few technical issues, but it looks like everything's working okay right now. I'm feeling pretty good about this, so I just won't move. I'll just stay here nice and calmly. But thanks so much for being here today and for sharing, your journey here in the big life. And I'm just so excited because there's been just so much growth and, there's just so many cool things happening in your life right now.
Mhm.
So I'd love for you, first of all, before we get into it all, why don't you just tell everybody who you are? Just tell us a little bit about you, who you are. I know you've launched a really exciting business and you're doing some really cool things in the PR space. So just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so first, I'm Leslie. I am from Vancouver, BC, so out on the West Coast. And my background is really in PR communications, whether it's in travel, tourism, corporate, natural resources, healthcare, events, or what have you. I have a lot of experience in a wide variety of things. But the most exciting thing I did in the past year was to launch my own business and really try to build something big out of it. So I launched Regal Gems Jewelry Company, which, as the name might give it away, I do sell jewelry online, and that's kind of my not quite first, but second foray into entrepreneurship. And so far, there's been a lot of lessons I've learned through that.
Awesome, awesome. Is that one of your pieces that you're wearing there?
It is, yeah, this necklace here. It's hard to see, but this is something that's called a dancing crystal. The piece in the middle there actually moves around, so
Oh,
to
nice.
capture in photos.
And I know I've bought in several pieces for you, and I'm like, why are you not wearing one of Leslie's rings right now? I feel like I want to just go run in the other room and put one on, but they're beautiful. They're beautiful. And I bought several for gifts, and everybody's loved everything that's come this way so far. And you know what I just love about it is that, it's affordable, right? It's affordable and it's good quality and it's stylish. And I think that's what one of my friends was saying, that it's just so nice. Like she got the sapphire set for Christmas, and then she went on vacation and she took it with her, and she said, "Oh, this is so great for traveling." And she
Oh,
wore
I love
everything at
that.
night for dinner,
Yeah.
and just, yeah, really loved it. So we're gonna put Leslie's link to Regal Gems here in the post, and you can check her out.
Yeah,
Awesome,
please do.
awesome. Yeah. So, and you're also doing some PR mentorship too.
I am actually, yes, I completely forgot about that. That's how busy I am. But um, I am the student director, for a student and education director for the Canadian Public Relations Society in Vancouver, the Vancouver chapter, and I've also taken on two mentees in PR. So both of them are students. One of them is a very smart, like she's going after a PhD smart.
Right.
Student from China, and the other is actually my old coworker who I think is brilliant, and I know that she would benefit from doing a lot of the work that I've done in the past year.
Awesome, awesome. And I saw today, like I was just actually, we're doing a live goal school this week. And I literally just before this call was reviewing everybody's goals. And I saw that one of your goals is to have your own program for coaching program for PR. So,
Yeah,
so that's kind of PR mastery. That's pretty cool too.
yeah. So
Yeah,
that kind of came to me when I was thinking about, well, what else could I do? Because, I'm not busy enough.
right.
But what else really spoke to me? And that was one of the things, was being able to lead and to show others who are coming into the communications and PR space, like what a variety of work you have available to you and how to market yourself as a communicator too, because
Mm,
there's just so much that somebody in PR and communications can do.
nice. I love it. I love it. So, Lots going on, I know.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm sure there's even more, but that's a good place. And, I just, what I love about it is everything's in motion, right? Everything's in motion. So when I think about the very first time I spoke with you, which was almost a year ago,
Yeah.
almost a I think about our very first conversation. Maybe you could share with everybody, where were you then versus where are you now?
Yeah, where I was then, I was working at a PR agency. It was coming up to a year and a half, almost 2 years, I think. And and I was burning out. I was burning out in a very, very bad way. It was just not a good place. And I think the management team there knew it too. And so once I started talking to you, there was that whole wish of wanting to be a better leader, wanting to increase my income and all of those things, and kind of climb the corporate ladder a little bit. But then I think maybe a week after I spoke to you, or 2 weeks, or right after I signed on, my work let me go.
Mm,
So I actually went into that conversation thinking, maybe I could negotiate my severance, which is coming from a place of power, but they beat me to the punch. So
ah, dang.
so it turned out to be a bit of a blessing because it gave me the time and freedom to really dive deep into this program and working with you and the rest of the group. And from there, almost a year later, I've gotten a lot more clarity. So a lot more clarity in what I want, what I want to do, and like I think a lot of times it was me already knowing that and just not getting clear on it or actioning on it.
Mm, mm. Yeah, because I remember like when we first spoke and you were talking about your life, and usually I like to kind of look at all areas of life, right? What's going on in your career? What would you love to, in the area of money, all these different things. And for you, it was really interesting because, the way from your perspective, life was pretty good. Life
Yeah,
was pretty
well,
good, right? And we were sitting there and we were having this conversation. I'm like, okay, well, if life's really good, why are we having this conversation? And that's kind of, I think, when you started to go a little deeper with the whole piece around leadership and,
yeah.
wanting, and something wasn't working in that space for you,
Mhm.
and then we sort of got, okay, this is where we need to go. But what I love about what's happened for you, what I love about what's happened, so yes, you've gotten more clarity, because I also think, and I knew this going into the, after having the conversation with you, but you learned a lot of, you learned the big thing around, I didn't know what I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the clarity comes from, because I think a lot of people, they don't even know what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
So they don't think they need anything, or they don't think they need help, or they don't think they need to do any deeper work.
Yeah.
And I could see it just based, on the conversation, just, because that's what I do for a living. But you really, really got an understanding around that. Oh, I just like, I'm really realizing I didn't know what I didn't know. And to the point where now you have so much clarity and awareness and such a deeper insight into all the things, right? So,
Mhm.
um, and even though initially it was all sort of about leadership, what I love that's happened for you is that I mean, your leadership skills have definitely developed and grown. But I just love that, how you're leading your life. I just love how I mean, because that's where it starts, right? It starts with you being the leader of your life, and
Mhm.
then, leading your family and the people around you, right? So you've really stepped into this next level when it comes to leadership. And I mean, we see it every single day in the community. You show up as a leader and you're inspiring others. And it's been such a joy for me to observe and see that growth in you. And I just want to celebrate that. I really do.
Thank
It's a
you.
big deal. It's a big
Yeah.
deal. Yeah. So, fast forward, almost a year ago, you lost your job, you dove in, you did the work, you got clarity, you launched a business, you found, a better job, right? I mean,
Yeah,
all these
yep.
all these cool things. Like, so where are you now? Tell us, like, if you think about it, like, yeah, you've got, you like, just tell us, where are you now? Um, if we're thinking about that wheel, right? That wheel of life.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember doing that exercise, and one comment you had for me was that my life looked like it was pretty balanced. I remember you saying that, and then me not realizing that half of the wheel was already filled, and that half is in relationships with in my physical environment, a few other areas. But where am I now? I think where I am now is I'm taking everything that I've learned in the past year and really starting to action on it, and really not thinking or living in the future, because I think that was one of my biggest things, was that I was worried about what would happen if I got this particular job. What would my commute look like? How would I work in my workouts and all of these things? And that was a really big, kind of aha moment for me. It was to stay here, be in the now, do things now, act now. So that's kind of where I am now. I'm thinking about the future in terms of big picture goals, but not getting into the weeds or into the forest of that.
Mm-hmm.
Or the trees, seeing the trees rather. I'm seeing the forest, but not the trees.
Yeah. I love that because that's a big change, right? I always say, like, depression is when you're living in the past, anxiety is when you're living in the future, right?
Mhm.
And so, we have a tendency to create that anxiety by
Mhm.
constantly focusing on what's going to happen next week or next month or down the road or whatever.
Mhm.
But when we can really learn to get clear about what it is we want, hold that vision, and take inspired action daily, living in those 24-hour windows, right?
Mhm.
Where, here's how I'm, living through the day today, trusting and knowing that that's going to lead me to all the things that I desire. We actually do. We just start living in the present moment and showing up at our best, and having, just more calm, more peace, more joy around it, more gratitude.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So what would you say the biggest change is since you've started?
All the lessons that I've had, I've shared a lot of them on LinkedIn, on Facebook, in different posts. The biggest change, I think that actually is it, is not living in the future, because, like you said, it just caused anxiety, and honestly feel like that's what was blocking me from getting what I want,
Mm,
because I was too far ahead and not focused on, well, what am I doing to get there, to get that kind of, worry or, anxiety. And I think one of the things that I said to you in the very beginning when you were asking us what we wanted, was that I wanted better problems.
right.
And I still do, but I want better business problems. I want the problem of like, well, now I have to face incorporation because I'm making so much money, right?
Yeah,
Or I have to decide between the two Hermes bags that I want to buy. Those
yeah.
are the best problems I still want.
Love it. I love that. That's good. Those are good problems to have. Well, I'm
Yes.
making so much money, I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's so good. So bigger, yeah, cool. Okay, so I mean, because I know you've learned a lot in this. I mean, you have been an A plus 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 student when it comes to this work, and you actually said something this morning in our group chat about really starting to understand the science of this work.
What did I
Um,
say?
Yeah, you said something about, because you've been doing this exercise for 40 something days
Oh,
consistently
okay.
every
Yes.
morning, right?
Yeah.
And let's shout out to Leslie, who's been getting up at 4:45 for every morning for over 40 days to study, do the morning study group. I mean, that is really incredible. I mean, you really are next level self-image here, right? In terms of, what's transformed in you in the past year, but your commitment and dedication to this work and to the growth and to really designing life on your terms has
Mhm.
been, phenomenal. But you did say something today. It's really starting to click around why
Right.
we do it the way we do it.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I think it was actually I have it here. Let me just read it out because it's easier. By thought, and this is a passage from the book, Science of Getting Rich. By thought, the thing you want is brought to you. By action, you receive it. And I shared a thought with the group this morning that by thought, the thing I want is brought to me, but what I do with it is up to me. I have to take responsibility for what happens next, whether I graciously receive it or I outright reject it, which happens a lot. Answers may come in the form of a coaching call or a group session or a flashing billboard saying you must do this, but I choose to think differently about that answer, then that's on me and I don't get the results I want. Um,
Mm.
so that was my visceral reaction this morning. People coming to me and saying, "Oh, well, I can give you whatever it is," and then me saying, "No, no, no, it's okay. I'll figure it out on my own. It's okay." That was something that I did a lot of, and I suspect a lot of people do a lot of. But it's understanding how to receive, uh,
Mm.
and I think that was kind of my realization this morning. So
Mm.
yeah.
And but you also said, like, I can see now after doing this for 40 plus days, I can see how why that, why that's necessary, right? Like the repetition of it. I can't
Mhm,
remember exactly what I said to you, but it was really sort of around, understanding that there is a science to this work.
mhm.
And it may not say, people may say, well, why do I have to do it this way? Why can't I do it that way? But it is through the repetition, space, and time that we start to shift our thoughts, patterns, and behaviors. And
Mhm,
that's what creates, the new and improved version of really who we are, who we were born to be, right?
mhm.
So it's very cool. So, tell us a bit about what is it like to do this work with a community? Because
With
this is a thing that I think a lot of people like, have reservations about, right?
yeah, and at first it's scary, but once you realize that the community is there to support and to also trigger um, some kind of reaction, any kind of reaction, then it becomes a lot easier because then it feels less personal almost, even though it is very personal. For me, I think working with you and leaning into the community has really helped a lot, just because it's not just me trying to figure it out anymore. Um, but I think this goes back to what I was saying about what I choose to do with the answers. Um, I can choose to feel a certain way. I can choose to think a certain way, but was the previous way helpful? Did it really do anything for me? And answer was no. So what it's like to be in this community, it's triggering in a good way because it helps me kickstart my thinking and in a different way.
Mm-hmm. And really, like, I feel like we're always holding up the mirror for each other, right?
Mhm,
I think that's the power. I always say, like, I've done group work for a long time in various different modalities, but there's so much power in the group because we all have these, we all hide and we all, are afraid to, it's kind of like, in school when the teacher asks you a question, you know the answer, but you're afraid to put your hand up, and then
Yeah.
someone else says the answer, and then you're upset because you're like,
Like,
I knew the answer. Why didn't I do
I
that? Right? And it's the same thing in a group where someone may be feeling something or thinking something, but not really comfortable putting it out there. And then someone else who, maybe is a little further along the way, just gets in and gets real and gets raw. And then you're like, oh yeah, like you can see yourself in that such scenario. And it's almost like relief in a way.
yeah,
Oh, I'm not the only one experiencing this. I'm not the only one feeling this. I'm not the only one, struggling
going
with
through it.
this,
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that allows you to move through it easier and faster. But it's also a very supportive and empowering environment too, right? Because
Yeah.
everybody, although they're different and they're going for different goals and different dreams and things, they're all on that same journey for more growth and expansion. So it's like you said, it's a lot easier to do. You're not alone. You're not alone, right? Yeah. So, yeah, tell us in terms of, the work itself and, working with Cheryl Keats. What do you want to share about that? What's been the best?
Sorry, my partner is blending something right now, so it's really
Oh,
loud.
we can't hear it.
Um,
I can't hear it.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
good. So you asked what it's like to work with you.
Yeah. What's it like to, yeah, in terms of the actual, the program, the work that we do in the program and working, with me as a coach,
Mhm.
what would you like to share about that? What's been the best part for you around that?
The best part is getting to work with you and getting
Oh,
to work with others. And honestly, it's the group. The group has been phenomenal. The people who are in the group who are open to sharing, that encourages me to share and to also step in and kind of do the same thing. And it's so nice to see other people doing it too. So
mm-hmm.
um, it's what it's like to work with you is a journey of self-discovery. I've written that down a little bit, and like I said, it a kick in the pants for some things because like I knew I wanted to do something, I just didn't know. I was getting caught up in the how, and I was getting caught up in the nah. That sounds like a lot of work. So yeah, it's good in a
Yeah, most
word.
people, most people get caught up in the how, and that's why they never move forward,
Yeah.
right? But we don't worry about that. We worry about what would you love, and are you ready to go claim it, right? And
Mhm.
that's where I think like the beauty of the support. I mean, the material, the coaching, the community, the masterminding, the infinite intelligence. I mean, everybody brings their own unique gifts and talents to the community. So that can be really helpful as well in terms of,
Mhm.
I mean, I know you've brought in, a lot of wisdom to others in the community and in turn they've shared theirs with you. And that I think is really valuable especially when you're building a business. I think that
Yeah,
can be pretty powerful. So I love it. So what, Leslie, what would you want to say to anyone who's thinking about doing this work?
do it. Just don't worry about how it's going to get paid. Don't worry about like the cost of it. I know that the cost is a barrier for a lot of people. I mean, I joined and then I lost my job, but I still found a way to pay for it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so it's a big investment in yourself. It's one of the best investments I've made in myself aside from my schooling in PR. Um, but it's definitely something that you shouldn't think too hard about. You shouldn't overthink it, and you should just do it.
I love that. There's a saying that's coming up for me. If you're worrying about the cost, maybe you should look at what's the cost of not doing it,
Yeah.
right? Because that can be even bigger. Like,
Mhm.
what's the cost of not, we were talking about this earlier, like, this is a high stakes game, right? You get one life. You gotta live it and you don't know how long you have to live it. So what is the cost of not living it the way you want to be living it, the way you were meant to live it, the way you were born to live it.
Mhm.
Really, that's what I think people need to think about more than anything is, when you think about your life and you think about what you're designing, you've got this beautiful job, you're doing, you figured out how to make it all work. You figured out how to make this work, you figured out how to make the job work, you're going to the gym, you're building your business. I mean, you're doing it all, right? And I hear this from people like, and it doesn't even, because I know other clients who have been burnt out and they say, you're going to ask me to do all this work now? I'm already burnt out, right? And you're going to give me all this stuff to do. But then you learn how to do it with ease and flow, and it doesn't feel so hard, and you're actually having fun. So, and
Yeah.
you've really managed to do that. I mean, I never hear you complaining about getting up at, when you do. And it's not that you have to get up at 4:45, it's that you choose to get up at 4:45,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And that you're choosing to go to the gym at night after work. And, this is what we know. Successful people are willing to do things that others aren't. And you are having tremendous success. So thank you for sharing and for being here. And I know that this is going to inspire someone. And so, for those of you who, are really, is resonating with Leslie's story, feel free to reach out to me or to her, and go check out her Regal Gems. It's amazing. And, we'll keep on inspiring people. So thank you. Thank you so much for your time, Leslie.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
I'm really, really happy for you. And I cannot wait to see. Let's do this again next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see
Let's
how
see
things have
what bigger,
changed.
yeah. Let's see what bigger problems you have or better problems you have.
Better, not bigger, better.
What better problems you have in a year from now. Okay. All right. I'll see you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.